We are more accepting.
Oh, I see.
Yeah, they are present. Yes, due to informations, yes, about UFO on the internet, on books, yes, and government help to release many of the UFO facts, yes.
Yes.
So the people are more open now to their existence, so they feel more easy to come to help us. Okay.
Yes.
In any way they can. Yes.
Okay. Yes.
Welcome, enlightened viewers, to Science and Spirituality. This week, we hear from Macedonian psionic or psychic researcher, Pane Andov. Throughout his life, Mr. Andov, a vegetarian, has had numerous extraordinary encounters with extraterrestrials and unidentified flying objects, or UFOs. In our two-part series, he will be discussing his metaphysical abilities, experiences with astral projection, and contacts with the universe. To spread his knowledge regarding such fascinating topics as crop circles, the extraterrestrial hierarchy in the solar system, and the coming wonderful and incredible changes to Earth and humanity after 2012, he publishes a monthly magazine called The Sixth Sense and conducts public lectures.
My name is Pane Andov, and I am a psionic researcher and contactee from a very early age. When I was 7, I was taken for the first time where my DNA was changed, and I was able to experience certain things that helped me understand dynamics that are very important for the days that we are living at this moment.
It all began one night when beings from another world came to visit young Pane.
These objects started to become closer and closer. I started to recognize that there is some kind of opening, and there are beings that are staring towards me. I started to realize that those beings are not human, but they're very similar to what was depicted in the movie Contact and Knowing. So whoever is controlling that film industry is getting information from somewhere. And the next thing that I recall is that I was taken to a room where I was closely examined, and there were all kind of laser lights that were going above my body, and I didn't feel any pain, but I had felt it warmer and colder sensations in my body as those lights were actually moving through, and it was obvious that they were doing some major changes in my DNA structure. Before they let me go, they transmitted this thoughts in my head. They told me also that they have done something to me that I am able to experience certain things like telepathy, out-of-the-body experience and similar stuff that will help me understand what needs to be done in these interesting times. They also transmitted that they will be guiding me all the way and giving me the necessary knowledge to combine all the pieces together and to deliver this message to humanity. They told me also that there will be a major role in the process of the awakening that I need to play. The boldest thing that I remember is that they actually stated that humanity is heading towards an extraordinary change, that many spirits will return to the stars and something magnificent is going to happen. And after a while, they returned me back home in Skopje.
From that point onwards, Pane Andov began developing his newfound powers and gaining profound knowledge about our planet and universe.
I started to experience certain changes in my perception. I started to feel something more like dolphins are feeling when they dive underground, right? And I started to hear voices which were the thoughts of my mother, brother, and friends around us. but the most interesting thing was the sensitivity. And if I touched something, I was able to pick up data from it, right? Like I was reading the metrics of that objects in some particular way. And but the most amazing thing actually was that I was able to experience awakening where I was sleeping, but in the middle of the night I was able to see everything, to hear everything. I was starting to elevate above the bed, and as soon as I elevate enough, I recognized that my body actually is sleeping down on the bed, and I got scared at the beginning. I was thinking that I will die. But after a while, I got encouraged because I noticed that it's not going to be anything bad, and I started to elevate more and pass through the ceilings, right? And I didn't know what to make of it then, but afterwards, after years and years, I learned that people call this experience astral projection, when the consciousness is actually using the astral body and is separating from the physical body. The interesting thing was that when I went above the roofs, I noticed that there was a light following me all the time in the background. I didn't feel any threat from that light. It was more like a protective type of light. But as a 7-year-old kid, it was fun to jump from roof to roof right in the neighborhood.
As a young man, Mr. Andov practiced spirituality and further refined his metaphysical abilities.
But when I became a teenager, I was introduced by the esoteric sciences from my uncle, who was initiated into Tibetan Buddhism, into Chi energy, Kundalini energy, martial arts, and what yogis were able to do, staying without food and water for a long time, and to meditate and so on. And I started to meditate for hours and hours, started to explore my chi potential, started to train the out-of-the-body experience. And it took a while when I started to meditate more than 6 hours per day in the lotus position, and that's when the Kundalini energy awakened and I started to experience exteriorization of the consciousness. Afterwards, my whole perception of reality shifted. I was completely transformed, and I started to look more for answers into the space and universe. No one around me was experiencing similar stuff. Those days it was very, very rare that good literature about this phenomena. I knew that this was the way to go, and my heart was pointing towards that direction. I started to lead a diary when I had put thousands and thousands out of the body experiences, where I was most of the time using awakening of the Kundalini energy, and when this Kundalini energy reaches my head, right, I was able to separate from my physical body and to become present on the astral plane.
Sightings of UFOs have occurred throughout human history. In many parts of the world, fantastic lights and unfamiliar flying craft have been observed in the sky. Some governments have closely tracked these events, and the UK's National Archive, the nation's official archive, has released portions of its UFO files on the internet.
The interesting thing is that I started to realize that on the astral plane there is a plenty of activity which today we would call a UFO activity. If you look outside at this particular moment with a normal camera and you record with normal visible light, you will not see much. But if you put another camera which is capable of infrared recording or night vision with some adjustments, you will realize that there are objects moving from time to time in formations, and they're not visible on the visible spectrum. As soon as you exit the biological host and you enter the astral dimension, you are able to see all these phenomena and to recognize what is happening. When I got stronger, I started to move higher and higher, but as soon as I got to 40 kilometers of height, I was hitting like an invisible barrier, like an invisible ceiling, and my astral projection was cut off immediately, and I returned back to my physical body. And I was attempting this penetration for a while, I was training with TSP cards to increase my psionic power or mental power. As it came to the point that it was stronger, finally I was able to penetrate through. As soon as I was able to penetrate out through the atmosphere and to look into the space, I started to realize that the flying crafts are coming and going from planet Earth frequently and in high numbers. And nothing of this is actually on the news. No one is talking about, and people live in complete different belief systems. So this started to become very, very unusual for me, and I wanted to investigate what actually is going on with this planet. We are not aware of this activity that is going around our planet. This craft here is one that I encountered very close to the Jupiter. It was in the asteroid field between Mars and Jupiter, and the same craft is visible in many occasions around Earth, and also a balls of light that were going inside, down, landing on the planet and leaving the planet. But in those times there was no evidence to prove it. Martin Stubbs was in charge of one television station in Vancouver from the space shuttles directly to Houston, and he recorded hours of video transmission. It's on black and white because it's on infrared. They're trying to find the Mir space station. More than 100 objects are appearing on the radar and disappearing, and they cannot locate the Mir.
STS-80, or the 80th launch of the space shuttle by the US, is well known by UFO experts as footage from the mission shows spacecraft from other worlds.
This is from STS-80, objects that are appearing in precise formation, and there will be a central one that just glow. Every time when there is a storm above the clouds, there is a huge UFO activity. Because when those lightnings appear, there is an energy that is released, and their technology is based on harvesting this discharged energy.
Pane Andov, we truly appreciate your sharing with us your amazing experiences with UFOs and extraterrestrials. It is also heartening to hear that our planet is well on the path to soon integrating with the rest of the life-rich universe. For more details on Mr. Andov, please visit www.paneandov.com. DVDs and ebooks by Mr. Andov are available on the same website. Dedicated viewers, please join us next Monday on Science and Spirituality for the conclusion of our interview with Mr. Andov. Thank you for your presence today on our program. Words of Wisdom is next after Noteworthy News. May we always feel a sense of wonder and upliftment whenever gazing into the heavens above.
For more details, please visit www.suprememastertv.com/SS.